This is a HeadGum podcast.
Hello and welcome to The Complete Guide to Everything, a podcast about everything. I'm one of your hosts, Tom.
And I'm Tim.
Tim, you're laughing already. What's big? What's so funny over there?
You pressed record on the machine.
On the machine, yeah.
And then you pointed to me, even though you're the one. You cued me to start.
Yeah.
And then you started talking.
I was cueing you to be ready to talk.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
It worked. I was ready.
Yeah, exactly. You were giggling a little bit, which is slightly
You also wanted me to
but-
giggle. You always want a little bit of a giggle take on my
Yeah,
on my
sometimes we spend hours trying to get one of us to giggle before we start recording the show.
It adds an almost imperceptible lift
Yeah.
to the proceedings.
Yeah, and sometimes we but we giggle too much and we don't start the tape in time and then we lose it and we have
Yeah.
to start all over again. Anyway, how are you doing this week?
I'm good. I'm wearing long johns.
Really?
Yeah.
I wore long johns the other day.
It's great. It's great when it's cold out, Tom.
It really is. My long johns, the elastic band was all blown out on them. I don't know how that happened. Like the elastic band won't hold. It's all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it disintegrated or something.
Did you? I mean, are you squeezing into them? Is that
No, they were always normal size, and now they're just way too big for me. So I have to kind of cinch them in my pants.
Well, that seems weird because, I don't know. I feel vulnerable wearing long johns outside, like that someone's gonna find out. Like that guy's wearing longer than normal underwear.
Right,
Almost
that
longer
you're
than
gonna
natural underwear.
That you're gonna be. Somebody's gonna open the door of the outhouse and see you in there with them.
Yeah, you're gonna see my bum through that little
the hatch in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it just because, first off, all right, let me get to that hatch. But are long johns weird just because, technically it's underwear? I wear underwear underneath my long johns.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
I used to do that.
Okay.
But then you got to line up 3 flies when you're
it's tricky.
peeing at a urinal, and I don't want to do that.
Right, yeah. Some people, they can't do that. Getting it through all 3 flies.
Yeah.
It's like there's not enough there. Sorry.
Man.
I mean, 3 flies can get pretty thick, Tim.
Yeah, it depends on how thick each layer is, I guess.
So that was my first thing I wanted to say.
Do you always wear
underwear?
Yeah, I used to do that all the time, but then I was like, this is literally underwear. What am I protecting my underwear from?
Because then you can wear it more than once without feeling like a skis guy.
Yeah, but here's a counterpoint. I think you should feel like a skis guy if you do that.
No,
if you wear long.
Then it's just wearing pants.
Like it was a red flag when you were
trousers.
Like, oh my one pair of long johns. It's like, nah, man. Like if you told me you had one pair of underpants,
you gotta have one for every day of the
I'd have
week.
you arrested.
My second thing I was gonna say is, everybody when we were kids and stuff would laugh about those hatches in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess that's for the full body long johns. But I bet that's pretty nice.
Oh yeah.
I've never taken a poop with my pants on.
Well, when you're using an outhouse and it's cold out, and you are by necessity wearing a coverall long john situation.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what are you gonna?
Yeah,
you're gonna take the whole thing off,
down?
and
you're just gonna be in there naked.
Yeah. No, it's a fantastic innovation. I mean, I guess it's not an innovation. I guess it's not new.
No.
It's not even relatively new at this point. But
but they should start adding it back to things.
Yeah.
You just don't
I
see
think
that.
all pants should have a hatch on the back.
Now, but then you run into the problem of the new pantsing. The new pantsing, which is just ripping down somebody's hatch.
Yeah, but what separates that from just pulling someone's pants down?
I think it's easier.
It might be easier, but it doesn't make it it's not that hard to pull somebody's pants down. But, especially if their elastic band is all blown out like yours.
It can be hard if they have a belt on.
Yeah.
But this,
a man speaking from experience.
Yeah, but this,
a man who has been thwarted in some recent pantsings.
Dang it! Yeah, and then because you count on the person having their pants around their ankles for your getaway.
Yeah,
but if they're they got that belt cinched tight.
Have we talked about this? Pantsing in schools probably doesn't happen as often anymore because they charge you with a sex crime now.
Yeah,
right?
it's probably something even more cruel, and just mental, just psychological.
Yeah, it's probably psychological. It probably all happens within some app that I I've never even heard of. Yeah, exactly. But I think if you pant someone the way that we pantsed and were pants freely in high school, they'd lock you up. They would have locked you up and thrown away the key a long time ago.
Honestly, rightfully so.
Yeah.
I never liked being pantsed.
No.
And I'll go on record saying that. I'll go to my grave saying I never liked being pantsed. Tim, I wanted to tell you about, you didn't ask me how I'm doing, but I wanted to tell you about this weird experience I had the other day that I think you would appreciate. Which was at a pizzeria. Well,
okay, that sounds pretty normal to me, Tom. So far, normal.
But I ordered the pizza, and the guy at the counter was weird while I was ordering.
Italian. Tom, is this another thing where you're like, ooh, his name was Giuseppe?
Yeah, and he kept talking with his hands. No, it wasn't like that. It was just the tone was, there was just something off about it. Mm-hmm. It was hard to describe. It was this guy's not talking to me like a customer. Things are feel awkward.
Did he talk to you as an equal? He wasn't talking down to you?
I guess kind of something like that. And then when I was with my wife and when we finished, I brought the tray up and the guy was waiting for the tray and he was like, "Thank you very much. I hope the meal was delicious." So I was like, "Yeah, it's good. Thank you." And then he goes, "Is your name Matthew?"
Oh no.
And I realized this whole time, this guy has not only thought I was somebody else, I think thought I was his son or something. The wisp, he was nearly.
Wait, he was an old man?
He wasn't that old, but he was old enough. He was old enough to be my dad, I guess.
Okay.
Actually, no. Maybe he thought I was his brother. I guess he could have been my dad. I forgot how old I am. Yeah.
Before we were talking about a 50-year-old, and I was like, oh, poor old fuck. And then it's oh no, that's.
Yeah. I'm not sure who exactly he thought I was, but I got so defensive about it that I was no, my name's Tom. I was ready to pull out my ID because I felt so bad thinking this guy thinks I'm somebody important to him and I'm lying to him right now.
Right. Why did you did it seem like he had memory issues?
No, nothing like that. It seemed like
maybe an estranged.
Yeah, some kind of an estranged where I think he thought he recognized me and was waiting for me to recognize him.
Right.
But that never happened. So then
because you're not Matt.
No, and all I did was just kind of act probably even more strangely because this guy was talking to me in a weird tone. And in retrospect, I guess it was the kind of tone where he was just, I think, asking me questions and waiting for me to be like, "Hey, wait a minute," and then be like, "Ha ha ha!"
You know what?
Finally got it.
You and I have the same affliction, the same social affliction.
What's that? Making people think we look like they're strange sons.
Exactly.
Constantly running into these situations.
No, we never want in an interaction with us somebody else to feel weird.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And I think other people don't have that. And that's a bit of a social lubricant where I think somebody else, not me, but if somebody, a guy was acting weird and was like, "Are you Matt?" Would be like, "No."
Who's Matt?
Yeah, who do you think I am? Let's talk about this. And that's how people have conversations with other people where you're I'm going to prove that I'm not Matt and then get the hell out of here. Me, I would have either done that or for some reason just been like, yes, I am Matt. I'll see you later. Just to be like, I don't want you to be embarrassed that I'm not Matt.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like, yes, I am Matt. Okay, I'll see you. And then also get the hell out of there.
Well, that's what it was because like we ate. It was after like going to see a show, and we just like we're walking home or to the train station.
What kind
or
of
whatever.
show? A Broadway show? A motion picture show?
Something like that. I don't even remember what it was, but
that sounds like a lie. Something X-rated. It sounds like.
No, it wasn't anything X-rated. But like, so we ate in this small pizzeria, and it was not super late, but it was like, I don't know, 10 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So it's like nobody else was in there, and this guy was watching me the entire time. So it's like very aware.
Did he think you were a celebrity? Is there a famous Matt?
Matthew Fox?
Maybe.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. Because I think...
Did he see you accosting a woman? And then it's like, that must be Matthew Fox.
I think...
Is that the story with him?
I think he punched a bus driver.
That he was accused of it.
Yeah, something. Yeah. Allegedly punched a bus driver. I don't need Matthew Fox on my ass. He couldn't even show up for that Lost special. But
Matt
anyway.
Sharp from The Rentals.
Matt Sharp from The Rentals?
Yeah, the original Weezer bassist.
I thought you were saying he was at the Lost reunion. And I was like, was he in Lost? I don't know if he thought I was Matt Sharp, the original drummer for Weezer. Bassist for Weezer. Yeah, I don't know who he thought I was, but it made me feel very awkward that he thought I was somebody else. I don't think he thought I was a celebrity, because if you think somebody's... I guess you could ask, like, if you're trying to be discreet.
Yeah.
Like, hey, are you The Rock? Yeah, you wouldn't say, are you Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
Yeah.
Try and keep it discreet. But I don't know. I feel like most people would say, hey, are you... Anytime...
Man, Vin Diesel.
Anytime I've
throwing shade at Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
We'll talk about that in a sec. Well, I was going to say, anytime I've actually been recognized by like listeners of the podcast, it's been, are you Tom Reynolds?
Right.
So I would assume he would be like, are you Matthew Sharp?
Yeah. How often are you recognized as host of The Complete Guide?
Not very often. But I'm just saying.
One time I was at a library and a guy said, "My brother likes your podcast." It wasn't even like that's what he said. Like it was a librarian, and I was checking out a book, and he went, "My brother likes your podcast."
And then he slammed a book in your hand.
And
he went, and you're in a library. You better not scream. That's weird.
Yeah.
Had you had any interaction with him prior to that?
No. I mean, he was a nice enough guy, but like I think he was like really adamant to know
starstruck.
No, to know that like he didn't care about me.
Yeah. But he recognized you based on a picture of you or your voice.
I think he went to his brother brought him to a live show.
Oh, I see. So he recognized.
He didn't much care for the show.
Right.
Presumably. Otherwise, he would have said something like,
I went to a live
like
show once, and it was
podcast,
the best time of my life.
Yeah.
Wow. Maybe this guy's brother is listening right now and mortified.
And this was maybe a decade ago. Also, the librarian in the library where I live now, near where I live now, is a mean lady.
Okay.
I just want to get that on record. I'm afraid of her.
All right, Tim. Well, we got a lot of good feedback about last week's episode. A lot of people communicated to us that it was one of the most informative episodes we've ever done. Now, you might think, oh, I bet this week they're going to do like Felix the Cat.
Because last week was about Popeye.
Right. Or, oh, here comes Betty Boop week at the Complete Guide to Everything.
That's every week.
Betty Boop.
Well, I mean, your whole home is adorned with Betty Boop regalia.
Classy stuff. Yeah. When you ring my doorbell, it goes boop, boop, doop.
Yeah. It's a little titillating to me.
It is. It gets me a little excited.
I get all flushed when I come in.
Was Betty Boop like the first cartoon People were
Vixen.
were helping themselves around.
The first, as if like it's like something that
I feel like the first like sexualized nowadays sexualized cartoons, the dime a dozen. Most of them are sexualized, but back
is that
then,
true?
Not most of them, but like anime.
Are
for
you
sure.
talking about those Simpsons pictures you've been sending me?
Tim, they're official. They were drawn by Matt Groening himself. No, I mean like anime and stuff like that is like often very sexualized.
Oh, you're always reading Superman comics where you can see Lois Lane's butt.
You know, Tim, I recently reread that comic,
All-Star Superman.
All-Star
It's you recommended, hey Tim, you got to read All-Star Superman.
Yeah,
you'll know, and then you wink.
No, and either they changed it. One of three things happened. They changed it.
And you don't see Lois Lane's butt in the first 10
It's
pages?
a Mandela effect thing. Or, no, you see her butt, but it's even less graphic than I remembered. It's like the side of her butt and like her butt crack. Like just some of her butt crack.
What more? If you see the crack, you see the butt, my friend.
But she was in the shower. You take a shower naked.
Yeah, but they don't show it like every day. Like
she had gotten sweaty, Tim. I don't know what to tell you. You know, she has an important job. She's a reporter. She goes and does an interview. Oh, it smells like fucking onions in here. It smells like BO.
Right.
Well, now she missed the scoop.
Right. So she just has to tough it out and then
shower. It was like a drawing of a butt crack, and I don't know.
I didn't expect to see it in All-Star Superman.
I can tell because it's cemented itself in your brain now. But yeah, we're
not doing this episode about Betty Boop.
No,
was your point?
Yeah, because we don't rest on our laurels.
Yeah, we got to break new ground.
Yeah,
we got to break underground.
We got to break new ground to build an underground bunker.
Right.
Tim, this week we're talking about underground bunkers.
They're not just for John Goodman's character in the Cloverfield Lane. Yeah.
Yeah. They're not just for John Goodman's character in 10 Cloverfield Lane.
That's what they say about, but that's the bunker company's tagline.
Yeah, I know, Tim. You could probably write some jingles for some of these bunker companies.
Have you ever seen this? It's on the highway. It's on like 95 or something. You're going north.
Mm-hmm.
You see this billboard and it says, "Your wife is hot."
No.
And it's a picture of a lady, and you're like, hey, don't talk about my wife, right? To the billboard.
Right.
You're like, you can't say that about my wife. But then it says, cool her down with a pool. And then there's an arrow and there's a pool store there.
Oh,
and
okay.
it says, get off at the next exit and go on the
buy
pool.
your wife a pool.
Yeah. And, at first I'm angry.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, I see what you're doing. And then I feel inadequate. My wife is hot, and there's nothing. And I'm not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
So I should get off at the next exit.
I don't know if it says. I mean, I guess it depends on the context of somebody telling you your wife's hot. If that would make you angry, or if you would take that as a compliment of some kind.
Right.
But I think in this particular case, somebody's rented a billboard just to announce it. That's too. Then it's like, well, what are you doing? You're trying to steal her?
Yeah.
You're trying to. You want her to see this?
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could take it as a compliment, but like Betty Boop's husband, you know what happened to him?
Betty Boop didn't have a husband. What do you mean? What happened to him?
Sad tale.
I imagine like Betty Boop had some kind of Anna Nicole Smith type, like she was married to some old cartoon wolf at some point.
That was on his deathbed.
Yeah.
I think Fearless Fred.
Fearless Fred? That was Betty Boop's husband?
I'm on bettyboop.fandom.com now.
Oh, boy.
Fred Fearless.
Okay.
Occupation, actor, police officer, soldier, lifeguard, Iceman.
Wow, busy guy.
Yeah.
Iceman like delivers ice, or Iceman has freeze powers?
Or flies a fighter jet.
Or flies a fighter jet.
It appears that she is forgotten, dumped, or divorced Fearless in the Broadway spinoff Boop.
Is that canon, though?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if that's canon. I don't know if I'd consider...
Oh, no. His first appearance was in She Wronged Him Right.
Okay.
In 1934. Yeah.
What was that proof?
I don't know. That she had a boyfriend.
Okay. I do find it interesting to learn about like old Broadway flops that you never like. I never knew there was like a Betty Boop Broadway show that I don't know if it was a flop, but I imagine it wasn't like hugely
That's not
successful.
what you were seeing when you went to the pizzeria that night?
No, I didn't know.
I could see that's why you were so cagey about it. I was watching a Betty Boop musical.
Well, Tim, it was unauthorized. It was an unlicensed production. There was a Superman musical in the 70s.
Yeah.
Which I never knew about. That was like a big bomb. Sounds like I thought Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark was breaking new ground, but no, there were already superhero Broadway bombs.
Tom, holy shit.
What?
You made quite an assumption.
Oh, that it was a bomb?
Boop, the musical. Broadway previews begin March 11th, 2025.
Oh, no. We have to go.
What this tells me is we will be doing a Betty Boop episode soon.
All right, so we'll save our Betty Boop talk. Yeah, so we're talking about underground bunkers. What are like your first thoughts when you hear underground doomsday bunker?
I'm intrigued.
Okay.
But also disgusted.
Okay. How so?
It seems cool to have an underground bunker in theory.
Having any kind of like secret room or something is
right.
Automatically a certain level of cool.
But it also feels a combination of like selfish and foolhardy.
Yeah, I was doing this. I was researching a bunch of bunkers.
Yeah, for the podcast.
I mean, I can't put a bunker in my apartment.
You don't secretly own land somewhere
that has a bunker? No, well, I wish. That would be sick.
Well, that you plan on maybe. Like I could see you like having like 2 acres in Idaho that just has a bunker.
No, that'd be awesome. But that is a big part of having a bunker that like you got to keep that fact a secret. You got to keep that close to the vest.
Well, that's the thing. And let me just first say, in an event where you would need a bunker for more than like, I don't know, a very short period of time.
Like a day or two.
Before things got back to normal.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be around, and certainly not in that bunker.
That's the thing. Like looking at a lot of these bunkers, I realize there's really kind of 2 types of bunkers. There are bunkers that are essentially like storm shelters, which is a common thing, especially like in the Midwest where they have tornadoes. Like, like you need a shelter to go underground to be safe.
And that's not what we're talking about here.
No.
We're talking about doomsday bunkers, right? Where it's like the apocalypse comes.
Right. Well,
and like this is where you need blast from the past scenario.
A real blast from the past. Who is in that?
Brendan Fraser.
And who is the guy in it? The other guy?
Brendan Fraser.
He played the guy. Eugene Levy in it?
Maybe. Is that a movie that you ever saw?
Yeah. Oh, no. It was Christopher Walken.
Oh, yeah. And Alicia Silverstone, but she wasn't the guy. She was the lady.
Yeah. What year did that movie come out?
I'm going to say 98.
Yeah, I was going to say 98, 99.
99.
Yeah. And it's about like a family that goes into a fallout shelter for like 20 or 30 years and then come back out.
Yeah. 35 years.
Okay. Which, again, to talk about being old and everything, like imagine if the movie came out and it's like, this family from 1990 came out of the bunker and they're like, hey, dude, radical. Cowabunga. It's a Ninja Turtles.
It should be in it. Tom, Dave Foley and Joey Slotnick, both in this movie.
Wow. Star-studded.
I'm a Slotnick head.
But what I was saying was there's, from my research, essentially two types of shelters. Like one that is like shit's hitting the fan in some way. You need to like immediately get to almost like a panic room.
Yeah. Like you don't have a basement and
right.
you need, and a tornado's coming, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like a panic room.
You need a fortified.
Yeah. And there are ones that, of course, there are ones that are like just nothing. You just go in there, that's like a storm shelter. But there are ones that have like beds and water and food, with the idea that you could be down there for a week or whatever. Their own oxygen supplies and power and all that. But then, there are ones that go up to like 6 months, but then there are ones that are like years. And it's like, well, there better be a gun with one bullet in there too, because like, what's the point of living in like worse than jail?
Yeah.
Solitary kind of confinement.
Which is why I don't understand when like billionaires will build these and it's like, oh, well, if, there's a nuclear holocaust and, there's only, 11 people left on Earth. I want to be one of them. And you can't go outside. I want to be one of those people. It's like, no, you're accustomed to doing whatever the hell you want, whenever you want to do it. You're going to lose your mind quicker than anybody. Like, you spend 2 days in my apartment, you'd kill yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I need to get to my yacht.
Yeah. There are ones, and I get too, certain areas of the world, where is it? I think in Norway, they have a lot of shelters, bomb shelters, because of like where they are and if a war broke out. So like everybody needs to, have a shelter so they could potentially survive, bombing or whatever. But then I see a lot of shelters that are like what you're talking about, where it's like, okay, we're in the middle of nowhere in Ohio or something, but don't worry, this is a nuke-proof shelter. It's like, if they're launching nukes on Ohio, that means everything else has already been hit.
Right.
And at what point is it just not worth it? Is it just, I should just be out here, let my meat drip off the bones with everybody else. Yeah. But I do get I was like desperately trying to find information because I very strongly, I don't even know if I have to say suspect. It's basically confirmed. We just don't know details that like a lot of these billionaires have secret bunkers that I'm sure are like, I would be happy to be locked down there for the rest of my life.
But they wouldn't be.
They would, but that's their problem.
Yeah. Well, I hope, this is why I wish that every billionaire doesn't have a moment of peace, even in good times.
I also get, like, I see a lot of these, like stories like, oh, this guy's building a shelter and this guy's, what do they know that we don't? It's like, I don't think they know anything we don't. I think they're seeing the same shit everybody else is. The difference is that they're going, hey, saying to their like accountant, how much would it cost to build like a $10 million? How much money do I have again?
Yeah. The amount of money that I made in the time that we've started this conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Devote that money to building something nicer than 99% of people live in. That would be a massive downgrade.
Yeah. That, as a just in case that I can go down there.
Yeah. Seems cool. I'd put a lot of books in there, right?
You would put a lot of books in there? Instead of just
otherwise
like,
you'd just go...
a Kindle with like a few Kindles all loaded up to save space.
But what about like power and stuff? Or what if one of the Kindles...
Well, if you run out of power, you're more screwed.
Or I'd more worry about like a Kindle failure, right?
That's true,
like,
yeah. Well, that's why
it's like that Twilight Zone episode where it's just like, finally, all the time to read, and he breaks his glasses.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if your Kindle, it's like, finally, I have 10 billion books on this Kindle and all the time in the world. And then the Kindle, like,
you
can't get that battery thing off
it cracks or whatever. I would go both ways. I would not count on the Kindle lasting or whatever, but I would load that up for sure because it's so tiny you could have everything, and then I would have just the important books, Madonna's Sex.
Right. Oh yeah.
Well, it's like
the erotic coffee table.
Yeah,
books.
I'd have that on the coffee table in the bunker. But like, when you were doing research, did you look at any of these bunkers?
I've seen them. They all disgust me.
Some are like fucking bleak.
They're all in like New Zealand too, right?
Well, those are the
the good ones? Okay. You're talking about like the normal ones?
I'm talking about like the normal ones that are, available to people like you and me, that cost anywhere from, I think the cheapest ones I saw were around $20,000.
Okay.
And that's essentially like a storm shelter. It's a poured concrete type thing. Doesn't have like, I don't know, just doesn't have a lot of stuff. It's meant for short term.
Right.
But then like, I don't know, like 200,000 seems like the current like sweet spot of like how much people are willing to spend on
how big are we talking about? Like square footage and then like occupancy of like human adults.
I'm talking about something probably about the size of like a shipping container.
Okay. I'm out. I don't want to be in something that size. I mean, I guess that's like the size of my living room, right?
Yeah. I mean, shipping containers are pretty long.
Shipping containers are pretty big. I have a very, very long.
Yeah, it gives a lot of people vertigo when they're in there. It's so long. Yeah. So that seems like, it's like $200,000 ish. You get something that can accommodate like 4 people for, I don't know, maybe like a month or whatever.
Okay.
Now, some of these places are smart, and they kind of sell these things as wine cellars. But then also, hey, if shit goes south, you can, close everything. Now, that's smart to me.
Yeah.
Because then you can use it. And, like, I think
I think a wine cellar is a bullshit thing to have, too. But
but it's, I don't know, at least you're using it for something.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like
why do you need all that wine?
I mean,
they got stores. You can go get one. You run out of wine, go buy some more.
If it's the apocalypse, Tim, you can't go get more wine. Right. That's why you need a wine cellar in your. But you would probably have like a little bit of a heads up that things are getting bad. You'd have time to move some of that wine out to make room for water or whatever necessary things you would need.
I mean, why a wine like in that case? Why not just make it a man cave or a she shed, Tom?
I mean, you could. I didn't really see too many.
It's a cool place to go.
I didn't really see too many that were like that, which was kind of surprising because to me, that's what makes the most sense. Like, make it into something you can use like all the time.
Yeah.
As
make it your main living space.
Just move there. Well, there is a place in, I think it's North Dakota. No, South Dakota. God, idiot. Called South Dakota Underground Co-op. These are bunkers that are either 1,590 square feet or 2,120 square feet at a cost of, this isn't bad. Tim, we should get these.
Okay.
It's $25,000 to lease it for 99 years, plus $1,000 annually, and the cost is the same no matter how many residents wind up using the space. But one reason it's so low is there's nothing in there. It's you have to install plumbing, electricity, air filtration, and exhaust.
Huh. Well, we don't need the exhaust.
Yeah.
Cheap out on that.
We can just bury the exhaust.
Yeah.
Just run a pipe into the ground. Takes care of it.
Yeah. I mean, but then you had to go to South Dakota.
That's what I don't completely get about this particular arrangement, that it's like you need a way to get to South Dakota in a hurry.
Right. Or maybe not. Like, I'm sure, like, do you think
And
people
also
in 2020 were like, all right, I'm hopping in a car. It's going to take me a few days. I'm going to get to South Dakota, and I'm going in one of these bunkers. Do you think there's a blast from the past situation going on right now?
There might be a blast from the past.
People fleeing from COVID.
There could be people down there. The internet went out or whatever.
1/7 into their tenure there.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, I guess everybody's dead. I'll just have to wait out here until the virus dies off. Yeah, I have trouble imagining what that type of situation would be where you'd have time to get to South Dakota, but then even South Dakota isn't safe, and you'd have to be underground to withstand a nuclear blast.
Right. Yeah. I mean, some people live in South Dakota.
Yeah,
I see that being a good option for them.
But even then, South Dakota's a big state. Take a while to get to places.
Yeah.
But yeah, those ones don't really make sense to me.
It shocks me that you are not like so into this. Tom, you were considering buying a barrel full of emergency meals just as like your normal diet.
No, not just as my normal diet.
Or like you are a little bit, as much as an apartment dweller in the middle of New York City could be, like a bit of a prepper.
Yeah, you gotta be ready for situations.
What are these cans of like sardines on your desk?
Yeah, they're cans. Well, that's a long story. Those have nothing to do with that. Yeah, a little bit. I like to be like ready.
Yeah.
You know, if something happens.
You have a lot of like outdoor gear.
Yeah,
for someone who's not frequently outdoors.
I know. It's aspirational. Tim.
Yeah. It just feels like you have like a lot of like, this will help purify water
if I need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It helps me feel safe.
Just the fact that like, and I get that impulse, but then you're like turning up your nose at these doomsday shelters.
Well, just because I think if you're going to have a doomsday shelter, it should be close to your home where you are so you can get there quickly. I don't get... So, like I was looking at this website for shelters, Atlas Survival Shelters. You can go to their website if you want.
I'm going to do it right now.
You can look it up on Excite or AltaVista, your browser of choice, your search engine.
Digital.com, here we are.
They seem like they're one of the biggest ones, or at least they post a lot of YouTube videos. So I see a lot of their YouTube videos that show them like installing shelters in people's backyards. Mm-hmm. But they have some, I wanted to talk about some of the features they have here, Tim.
Oh, great.
A 90-degree turn entrance. I didn't think about this, but they say any shelter that doesn't have an L-shaped or 90-degree turn at the bottom of the stairs is going to let in the radiation at the time of the blast, because the radiation will go through metal as if it weren't there. What's protecting you is the 36 plus inches of earth on top of you, not the door. So it's like you go down the stairs and then you have to turn to get in. So that something couldn't go in the door and just like straight into the shelter.
Oh, I see. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, any idiot knows that.
But here's one that I want to know more about. If tamper-proof air pipes. Our system not only protects you from vandals, but it also cools the air before it enters into the shelter through our patented air condensing, blah, blah, blah. They claim like, okay, we got a tamper-proof air system, so vandals can't tamper with it. Yeah, they can. They can just put shit in it.
I don't know. You don't know. You don't know what their patented thing is.
I've looked at the pictures. They're pipes that come out of the ground and like turn. You know, those like kind of like a standoff pipe or whatever. Yeah. Just fill them up with...
I bet there's some other trick to it. There's some sort of Kevin McAllister thing that they're not going to tell you what that is because you're a potential vandal. But it's patented for a reason, Tom.
Just because I think about these shelters, here's if I were at one of these showrooms buying a shelter, here's what I would ask, and all the salespeople would go scrambling. I would say,
They probably quit their jobs.
I want to buy a shelter, and I want it to be safe. And they're going, oh yeah, we have all these people, blah blah blah. I mean, I go, answer me this: if the United States government wanted to come in that shelter, would they be able to? Would they be able to get in if they threw the full weight?
But that's not.
I'm just saying that's how you know it'd be safe.
Right, but there's degrees of safety, Tom.
I'm just saying if I'm going to have a bunker, I want to also be able to have a standoff in the bunker.
Right.
You know? Like I want there to be a kind of a stalemate where you can't get me out of the bunker no matter what.
Right.
That's all I ask.
I mean,
because I just see the air thing as such a
reasonable aspiration, I guess.
The air thing is just such a weakness, you know? Somebody clogs up those pipes, you're not getting air. Yeah. I'm just thinking about like a zombie apocalypse situation, and you're like, oh, I heard some podcast. This idiot's got a bunker. Let's go to his house, and if he doesn't let us in the bunker, we'll put a bag over the pipes. We'll put
it's tamper-proof, Tom.
I was looking at these pipes. I don't think they're tamper-proof.
It says it right on the website, Tom, that they're tamper-proof.
But I think you could still just put something on them, and it would stop it from working.
Well, what do you suggest? That it's all over? This is also my problem.
I think they're saying somebody can't gas you in there.
Okay. This is my problem with bunkers in general. It implies, like, if it was just like, look, there's radiation and like everybody's dead and like for some reason you want to still be alive.
Yeah.
This will help you. But like a lot of these preppers that I see, like it's like on, I guess in pop culture, maybe not like real life prepper guys, but like,
because the real ones, they're keeping that.
Yeah, but
quiet.
It seems to be more of the desire to be like, I can't wait to have to keep people out.
Yeah, there's definitely a strong contingent of people that I think fantasize about society breaking down.
Right. And like turning away their neighbors.
Yeah, and that they're going to be the one, they're going to be the piggy that built the brick house.
Right.
And they're going to be
it's not a piggy, it's just a pig.
I was thinking of the little piggies.
The markets. The ones go to market.
Piggies going to the market.
Yeah. They want to be the piggy.
They want to be the big. They just want to have that, like, see, I told you so. I was right. Everybody thought I was crazy.
Right.
But which I get to a certain degree.
But you're still crazy.
Yeah. But because
if you want that, you're crazy.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Because I think there are people that want that kind of breakdown of civilization because they feel like then they would become like the alpha. They would now be the one with all the power because they're prepared. And that's a bummer. Like you shouldn't want the world to end in an apocalypse. One of the other things that I was reading about, especially with these like billionaires, is how do they stop their security team from turning on them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of me, I wish there was a way that I could get the Captain America serum.
The super soldier serum?
Yeah. And then get hired by one of these guys.
You gotta be careful because they tried to replicate it, and that's how the Incredible Hulk got made.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that would also work.
You get mad too often to be a Hulk.
I'd be...
Be fucking Hulk 90% of the time, waiting in line somewhere.
I'm a lot chiller these days, Tom. And I would want that to be my job. I would want to be security for someone powerful and then make him feel safe and then turn on him.
But you also need the super soldiers.
Yeah.
You want to be able to just like beat them to death with your
No,
hands.
I wouldn't get hired.
Oh,
You're not going to hire me to protect you?
They bring you in and they'd be like, look at this guy.
Yeah.
We have all these Marines trying to.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, well, can they do this? And you just punch through a brick wall.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd be like, yeah, I got the super soldiers here.
Or at least like get in really good shape. My thing is like, imagine the hero I would be, even not in an apocalypse situation. Just get hired by like a bad guy to be his security, and then turn on him.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
I think it'd probably be hard for you to get hired that way.
Well, I would only do it once.
Yeah, and that would that would also be.
And then everybody would lift me up onto their shoulders and be like, "Man, you did it! You got him." That
would be, I think, one of the most like disappointing parts about if there was like like real apocalypse and you somehow were saved. You'd be like sitting in a bunker thinking like, man. And now I'm not hearing about like all the billionaires who thought they had this all figured out. Their plane landed. 2 security guards walked up and shot them in the head.
And walked into the bunker.
Yeah. Took the helicopter and flew to New Zealand with it. We would just never hear about that. Because the thing I was like, of course it's a real issue for these people. Like for ones that
these guys are probably like, whatever happened to loyalty, right?
Oh, yeah. But everything...
They got a point.
It's a real... it really is like a conundrum because it seems like the best solution is psychological, which is basically like, oh, you should like have a relationship and a rapport with the security team so that they don't want to do that. So that like, treat them well and everything. Their families can be in the bunker and, just basically take away any incentive for them to want to do that.
I mean,
but there's no way. You
don't become a billionaire by being like, well, I'm comfortable, so I'm going to, I'm going to stop here. Like I don't think a billionaire, like I think, like if you applied a billionaire's thinking to the security team, like the billionaire didn't keep amassing wealth by being like, well, I'm comfortable now, so I've had enough, so there's no incentive for me to continue amassing all of this stuff, right? Like, there's no incentive, theoretically, for me with the super soldier serum, even though he's got my, I get to bring my family and get my own room or whatever, for me being like, yeah, but why don't I be the guy in charge?
Yeah, right. You'd be like, well, it doesn't matter. They took my family away from me when they gave me the super soldier serum.
They would never do that.
And they wiped my memory. So it doesn't matter anyway.
No, I would administer it to myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever been done.
I know.
It's pretty impressive.
And people are just going to be like, wow, what happened to you? I'd be like, this is my New Year's resolution.
And now you can punch through walls? You can jump 20 feet high?
Yeah. I'm jacked.
Yeah. I just don't know how you would ever, like, really...
Like Captain America can jump 20 feet high?
Like, sometimes. It depends on the situation.
I'm going to watch these movies again.
Yeah, I mean...
Because he was a pipsqueak, Tom.
Yeah.
He's like a little guy.
I think they don't show him doing big jumps just because it probably like looks silly. Yeah. Well, they don't want people to get jealous. But he can do it.
Okay.
He can fall real far too. I think in Captain America Winter Soldier, he just like jumps out of a plane.
Probably.
And lands in the ocean. He's fine. He doesn't have a parachute.
I could jump out of the ocean and be fine. It's water, Tom.
Water's soft. I wouldn't even need the super soldier
Jumped
serum.
into pools thousands of times.
I've also seen ones that have like what I was going to say before we move on from the billionaires with their security teams is like, these are the things I've heard, like, oh, this is how you do it. This is how you make sure they don't mutiny. I'm sure, like, here's Zuckerberg. They're like, yeah, we got that figured out too. Meet the soldier cuff. It goes around their necks and electrocutes them if they don't listen to you.
Right.
Like, there's some other where it's like, if you're Zuckerberg's security team, there is not like a way for you to get into his part of the bunker.
Yeah, but there's a way for you to like get to him.
I don't know.
Really?
I mean, what if there's just like a really strong door?
So there's never anyone near him?
His family, maybe. But I'm saying, like, maybe he has basically a separate bunker.
And let me say, for the record, I don't want any harm to come to Mark Zuckerberg. Personally.
Right.
I'm talking about theoretically in a post-apocalyptic scenario.
Yeah.
How he would keep himself safe.
From his own security team.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is like two separate bunkers. You
know?
But then I don't know.
But then in some way he's vulnerable because he doesn't have the proximity of somebody, like a body man.
Yeah, but they're like, maybe his bunker is like behind the soldier's bunker. You know what I mean?
I mean,
like it's like kind of like
to be in the middle of several.
Well, I'm saying it's like a railroad style.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like if you infiltrated this bunker, you would have to get through where all the security guards live before you even got to him. So then he's kind of in a situation of like, look, you got your bunker. It's all stocked up. Please guard from vandals. You'll want to do that yourself anyway. But by doing that, you'll be guarding me and my family. And that's fine by me.
What if they go out and plug up the air supply that goes to just his part of the bunker?
I mean, that's what I'm saying about all these things. Yeah, I don't know. I really the air stuff. I just can't.
All of this, again, like, why do you want to contemplate a world where this happens? And like, what do you see the value of? Not just clutching your loved ones and biting the bullet at the end.
I don't know, because I mean, they think they're important.
But what
society needs them. They need to keep procreating for humankind. They need to save the human race.
But that's not what they're doing it for. They're doing it because like, I'm not gonna die.
That's part
Dying's
of it.
for suckers.
That's
a lot of these guys think they're actually like never gonna die too.
Well,
and some of them won't.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. That like it's not only them not wanting to die, but I think a lot of these billionaires also have ideas about how important they are to civilization.
Right.
That, they're self-serving, of course, but they're like, oh, I need to be around because they're gonna need somebody to restart Amazon.com when all the ash clears.
Right. Hey, maybe.
Power is also an issue. A lot of these places have like solar, but if it's nuclear winter, those solar panels aren't going to do a whole hell of a lot.
Just harness the nuclear power.
It's true. You could just harness the nuclear power.
Just do that, guys.
I saw one that was like,
or just put an outlet in an electrical outlet. Plug your things
into that. I
saw
one that was like worst case scenario, like you can run the air filtration system with like a hand crank. It's like, all right, but how much? Like, does it stop working once you stop cranking? So it's just
that is.
I'm gonna have to spend my whole life cranking.
That's kind of what you do anyway. I think that's the metaphor for this whole endeavor, which is just like you're doing a lot, and to what end? Maybe that's just a metaphor for life, though. We're all just turning a crank to breathe, and why? What's the point?
It's Switzerland that has they have enough nuclear fallout shelters to house the country's entire population. They've got one that can accommodate 20,000 people.
Wow.
It's a lot of people to be living with.
To be in.
What?
Be annoying.
Yeah, of course it'd be annoying. Imagine just living in a subway station.
Yeah.
Imagine one day they close all the doors during rush hour and they're like, you all live here now. The bombs went off.
A giant stadium amount of people.
Yeah. Find a comfortable place because World War III is just broken out. Some luxury doomsday bunkers feature extravagant amenities. I mean, one of them they have here is movie theaters and gyms. And it's like, well, a gym you are going to need.
Yeah.
If you're looking to spend a significant amount of time down there, yeah, you are going to need a gym. That's not a luxury.
Well, you get your exercise by turning that crank so you can continue breathing.
Yeah, I mean, you can either get the bunker with a crank or you can get one with a gym. Movie theaters, I mean, I guess like for the amount of space to put a home theater in. But that, I mean, come on. If you're building a bunker and you're not seriously thinking about the entertainment situation, then again, don't even bother building.
That's why I'm saying the books, Tom.
Yeah.
Well, but like, you're talking about actual entertainment.
Yeah, I'm talking about fun entertainment.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying like a TV with some kind of...
Oh, no, I'd have the theater, but I'd only have the Criterion collection.
Yeah.
Tom.
You would need, I don't know, just like a huge collection of media so that you never ran out of shit.
Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't put it on a hard drive, Tom. I'd get all physical media.
Well, I mean, a hard drive is physical.
No, you know what I mean.
But that's going to take up space.
That's okay.
But I agree with you. I think that would
put it in a binder.
Yeah, I think that would be the like safest way to keep that stuff. Because the hard drive dies and everything's gone.
Yeah.
You scratch one DVD, it's fine. I got 3,000 others.
Yeah. I'm getting into physical media, Tom. Did I tell you this?
I don't know.
Start wasting my money.
Start wasting my money and cluttering my house.
My wife loves this place.
But I saw some of these that have pools and have like artificial outdoor spaces.
Okay, that sounds cool.
They basically look like what Mr. Wilson's backyard looked like on Dance the Menace.
Good. I thought we were going to go one goddamn week without one of us bringing up the 1950s Dennis the Menace TV series.
It looks like...
Or like the Brady's backyard.
Yeah, where it's just like very fake. It's AstroTurf. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, the background's painted to look like the sky. But like it looks pretty nice. Have you ever been to Pirates of the Caribbean?
The ride?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite places to be.
Right? Like that, when you're inside, it feels like you're outside.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah. That, I don't think it would probably be a very effective bunker, but I would live out like, it was like, okay, you got to live out the rest of your life in Pirates of the Caribbean. Sure, it's a little scary.
Right. Yeah, there are pirates all over the place. You got to watch yourself. No, that would be cool. Yeah, I would definitely, if I was a billionaire building a bunker, again, put some dark rides in there.
Yeah.
And don't tell everybody that all your friends and family that are living, don't tell them about it for like the first, like 10 years. And then go, hey, you guys ever wonder what's behind this door? And you open it up, it's all dusty and nothing works. You'd be like, it was going to be cool. But
yeah.
I don't know. All the oil dried up and now everything's rusted. Oh, well, forget it.
I'd like to go on some dark rides.
Yeah. Why not? I'll tell you why not. We don't live near any.
Yeah, that's true. All the amusement parks near us are just like thrill rides, which is great.
Look, I like being thrilled as much as the next guy, but sometimes I like being...
They got that Houdini ride at...
Oh, yeah.
Six Flags.
Yeah, that's kind of a dark ride. Yeah. That's a fun ride, too. I like that one. Everything turns around. Anyway, if you like the show, you can find out more at tcgte.com. You can check out all our social media links there, our Discord, our subreddit, and our Patreon, patreon.com/complete guide, where you get books of podcasts. But this week we're doing something different. Well, last week we did something different. We did the movies of 2024. But this week we're discussing the future of the Patreon.
It's a brainstorm.
It's a live brainstorm, and we want to hear from our Patreon.
It's a town
members.
hall, essentially.
Yeah, about what kind of stuff we should be doing there. So patreon.com.
Pitches. I got some good pitches.
Yeah, sign up and be part of the process. Instead of just
your vote counts.
Instead of just sitting back and letting life pass you by.
Yeah, that's no way to live.
Sign up.
Be proactive. Build a bunker. What if something goes south? Hey, you're going to need to listen to something. There's hundreds of hours of archived premium content.
That's true.
Patreon.com/complete guide.
Tim, that's very true. I didn't even think about that.
Imagine the poor sap spends years in a bunker just listening to the two of us prattle.
Stuck with nothing but this. Eventually builds like Tim and Tom out of trash to sit with them. Another thing I wanted to mention about these bunkers in general is that, like, as you were talking about the type of people that want this to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But there's another type of person that I see in a lot of these videos, which is a type of person that spends a lot of time and money on all this stuff, but is probably constantly like 3 months away from dying without medical interventions. Like there's this
age or just like general lifestyle
unhealthiness.
Okay.
And I'm not saying I'm the pinnacle.
You're Mr. Atlas, Tom. Is that what they call?
That's what they call me. Yeah. But like there's this one guy where every time he goes into a bunker and he goes down the stairs, you hear and then for like the next 10 minutes of the tour, he's like, "That's very nice over there. How much water can that hold?" And it's like, buddy.
This isn't one of the guys that has the gym built into it, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's like you are not going to make the 10-yard sprint to the door. Like you got to, and again, that's where like.
Yeah, the nuclear winter is not the biggest threat to your life.
Yeah, like. What about survival of the fittest do you think won't apply in an apocalyptic scenario? So that's the thing. And I've seen actually like some of these like prepper influencers, I guess, kind of say like the good ones at least, like, look, if you're going to start buying shit, here's another thing you need to invest in because like none of this stuff's going to do you any good if somebody can outrun you to the shelter and close the door behind you.
This is that makes sense, and I hesitate to ask how many prepper influencers you can identify by name.
Not that I can name,
but do you think this might be an unfair question?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there are like a lot of preppers on their deathbeds being like, "Well, that was a waste"? But like, I guess you could say that about anybody, or it's like about like who like paid attention to their health or whatever, or did anything to like. I guess you got to do something while you're here. Might as well.
Yeah, and I guess there are probably people that like do all this stuff and then like die in like stupid ways, like just like silly accidents and.
But it's also like the person who's so health conscious and then like
die,
like falls into the manhole or something. Yeah.
Well, let me say this: you won't necessarily hear the prepper influencer saying this, but I'll say it. You should be enjoying every moment you have as well, because you never know when it's all going to be taken away.
Yeah. See you next week.
That was a HeadGum podcast.